right, boys and girls, Miss Kathy here from Shaler North Hills Library, and we have another episode of Superheroes of STEAM. Wonderful people from our past, maybe not so distant past, that have contributed greatly to the fields of science, technology, engineering, arts, or math. And we have an inventor today. And since it is February still, we are doing African American focus, and we have a book about sweet dreams. Sarah, I'm really excited to share this book with you because I was excited to find it. A woman, she was the first African American woman to have a patent on an invention. So let's read about what she invented. Sweet Dreams, Sarah. Before the Civil War, Sarah obeyed her owner. Hurry up, eyes down, don't speak. Slaves were property, like a cow or a plow or the cotton that grew in the master's fields. They weren't thought of as individuals or humans. They were property. But every day Sarah dreamed of a different life. A husband, a family, a job that she loved. Her father was a carpenter. With a hammer in his hands, he could build anything. Sarah thought she could too. Then something happened that changed their lives forever. A new law freed people from slavery. Sarah moved to Chicago with freedom in her pocket, hope in her heart, and dreams swirling in her head. It says northbound. The slaves were in the southern states, and she is heading north to Chicago. She made her first dream come true when she married a kind stair builder named Archibald Goode. They started a family, her second dream. Sarah rented out rooms in their home to people who needed a place to live. She saved every penny she could to pay for her third dream, her own furniture store. So that's pretty exciting to be able to actually own a store. Every day, Sarah worked alongside her husband. Measure, cut, sand. And every day, Sarah listened to her customers. Pretty crowded at our place. There are 5 of us crammed into one room. Sure wish the kids had their own bed. So that's what her customers are saying to her about their living conditions. Many of Sarah's customers worked at low-paying jobs, and even those with big families could only afford to live in a one-room apartment. Sarah looked at the furniture in their store. Too boxy, too bulky, too big. Then Sarah had an idea, another dream. Maybe she could build a piece of furniture that would save space for her customers. If she could create a new kind of bed that folded up when it wasn't being used, each kid could have their own bed. Sarah hurried to the lumber yard, clutching her precious saved coins. And when she returned home, she began building her invention. Measure, cut, sand. Finally, she hammered in the last nail. Standing back, she looked at her creation. A desk, but not just any desk. Inside the desk doors, a fold-out bed was hidden. Sarah pulled, she pushed, stuck. Uh-oh. Sarah took it all apart and started over again. But everything went wrong. Wood split, nails bent, the bed wouldn't lay flat. Sarah didn't give up. She took a deep breath and dove right in to fix it. Again. At last she stepped back and smiled. Now, when she pulled out the bed, it slid back in without a catch or a squeak. Archibald wanted to sell it in the store right away, but Sarah knew there was one more thing she had to do. She'd dreamed it. She'd built it. Now she needed to claim it. Sarah needed to get a patent. A patent is a piece of paper from the government that says no one else can make or sell your invention. If someone else got the patent first, Sarah would lose the right to make and sell her cabinet beds. So she would be the only one allowed to do that if she had the patent. Sarah met with a patent attorney, that's a lawyer, and they filled out the application. She explained how her cabinet bed was a new and useful idea. Sarah slipped the documents into an envelope and mailed it, and the waiting began. Months passed. Had the application gotten lost in the mail? Had they found out she was a woman or that she was black? Sarah knew some people thought a woman should stay at home to cook and clean and take care of the children. She knew that others believed if you had dark skin, you didn't have a right to own anything, and certainly not a patent. But Sarah knew better. After a whole year, a letter finally arrived. Denied. There were already patents on similar inventions. Sarah needed to prove hers was different. So denied means they were not going to give her the patent. After a year of waiting. Carefully, she changed a word here and a sentence there, explaining more about her unique mechanism, the idea that had come to her so long ago. Slipping the paperwork and a bit of her heart into the envelope, Sarah sealed her fate and sent it off. Once again, she waited. She knows that it's different. And she just had to explain it a little bit differently. This time, a thick envelope arrived from the U.S. Government Patent Office. Sarah took a slow, deep breath. She slid out the papers. She read out loud, S.E. Goode, Cabinet Bed, number 322,177, patented July 14th, 1885. Staring at her name in print, Sarah proudly traced each letter. Her idea, her invention, her name in history. She had built more than a piece of furniture. She had built a life far away from slavery, a life where her sweet dreams could come true. S.E. Goode Furniture Cabinet Beds on sale now. Notice she didn't use her first name of Sarah because then they would know she was a female, and that might make them not want to give her a patent, that she said. So she just used her initials, S.E. And that is the end of the story, but there's an author's note on here. Many of the details of Sarah's life are not known. What we do know is that by 1870, Sarah and her family were living in Chicago. According to the census, that's when they count up all the people, Sarah's father, a skilled carpenter, had real estate worth $10,000 and a bunch of other money worth about $3,000. In today's dollars, his property would be worth over $150,000. an extraordinary achievement for a black man only 5 years after the end of the Civil War. When Sarah was ready to start her own business, her parents may have helped her financially, as many parents do these days for their children. In both the North and South, African American men and women were treated like second-class citizens. Job opportunities were limited. Housing choices were restricted. That means you didn't have a choice of very much. But Sarah E. Goode refused to give up her dream. She opened her furniture store at a time when women could not even vote or own property, and she made her place in history with her patent for the cabinet bed, pushing open the door for those who would come after her. The cabinet bed became extremely popular because it allowed people to save space. Sarah's invention inspired other similar innovations in furniture. The Murphy bed, which folded up into a closet, was created in 1916. Today, all over the world, in homes, hotels, and businesses, millions of fold-away beds are in use. Have you ever slept in a fold-up bed? Then it tells us a little bit more about what a patent is. A patent is a right granted by the government. It is a legal document. It's a lawful piece of paper issued to protect an idea. It says that other people cannot make or sell your invention. What is granted is not the right to make or use or sell the invention, but the right to prevent others from making, using, or selling it. There are 3 types of patents. Utility patents are granted to anyone who invents or discovers any new or useful process, machine, or article of manufacture, or any new and useful improvement on those. Design patents are for new, original, and ornamental designs for an existing product or process, and plant patents are granted for any district or new variety of plant. And then it gives you in the back of the book the timeline for Sarah E. Goode, some of the major things that happened. She was born in 1856. Some say she was born in the South, others say in Ohio. If you look at the map, the southern border of Ohio runs along Virginia's northern border, and her father was a freed man, her mother was a slave. It might have made sense for her family to claim their children were born in the free state of Ohio instead of in the slave state of Virginia. And in 1863, 8 years after she was born, 7 years after, President Abraham Lincoln abolished slavery with the act called the Emancipation Proclamation. And then 2 years later, the Civil War ended, and there was a great migration of people heading north to cities like Chicago to find jobs. In 1870, the census lists Sarah as being 15, attending school and living with her father, mother, and siblings. She had Oliver, Hattie, and Lincoln as brothers and sister. In 1870, that same year, the 15th Amendment to the Constitution granted African American men the right to vote, but not yet for women, whether they were white or black. In 1880, the census that year says she was married to Archibald Goode. Sharing their home are her brother-in-law, Robert, her 2-year-old daughter, Inez, and 4 lodgers that stayed with them for rent. 1883, she paid a small fee, $15, and mailed her application in for the cabinet bed. The application is denied 1 year later because some parts of it had already been patented by others. With the help of her lawyer, she reworded the application and mailed it back. An advertisement in that same year shows S.E. Goode, property of 2 furniture store locations, one on State Street and one on Wabash Avenue, both in Chicago. So at that point, she was up to 2 stores. On 1885, her patent was approved. And in 1886, she appears in Chicago's city listing and business listing under furniture. 1887 shows a cabinet bed for sale ad in the Chicago Daily newspaper. We may never know why Sarah and her husband lost their business, whether it was because of illness, bad luck, or jealousy, and possibly violence from business competitors. But there is one thing Sarah will never lose: her place in history. Sarah E. Goode will always be one of the first African American women in history to be recorded as earning a patent for her invention. And in 1905, at the age of 49, she died and is buried in Chicago, Illinois. So she did not live a really long time. She died before she was 50, and we don't know any more about the cause of her death. But some facts about her life, and in the back is an interesting timeline of Black women patent holders and some of the things that they invented. So if you want to order a copy of this book from your library, you can read about all the amazing things that African American women have invented. Now, if you had a chance to print out the packet of material, there is a bunch of sites in here that you can go to do some activities. Visit this site, the first one listed, to read the author's words about her book. So this was written by Vivian Kirkfield, and she is speaking about that here at this site. I did the printout of it. And let's see if there's anything I can share with you. She talks about how she wrote the book and how she did research. And that's good for any one of you out there that wants to write stories and talk about it. And you can read, sometimes it's really amazing to check out some of the other websites that are referenced too in their sites. You can make a brilliant goals chart. We read about some of the dreams that Sarah had and how she crossed them off her list 1, 2, 3 as she went through and accomplished it. Well, maybe you can't go out and own a furniture store, but that's probably not your dream. Whatever your dream is, you can make it happen. But right now, being a kid, you probably want to start a little bit smaller than owning a store. So there is a goals chart that you can fill out, and you can set your own reality and dream things that you can have happen to you. It says, what is your goal for school? What is your goal for learning new things? What is your goal for friends and family, and your health goal? What activities are you going to do to reach that goal? And when do you want to finish it by? Are we talking about something you're going to finish in a couple weeks? Or are you going to finish them in a couple months, couple years maybe? And you can keep track of it. Think of different ways to keep track. Maybe one goal you keep track of by writing notes down on paper as you do each thing. Maybe another goal you keep track of in a different method. Whatever it may be. But sometimes it's good just to get them down on paper, because then it gives you something to look at. Oh, that's right. I haven't been working on that goal very hard. I should get back to working on my health and doing a little bit more exercise. Or I should get back to working on being a little bit nicer to that family member I said I was going to try to be nicer to. Or trying a little bit harder in a class at school. Whatever it may be. You can fill in your chart. You can expand this chart and make it bigger if you want, so that you can fit a whole lot of stuff on there and see what your goals and dreams are and make them your reality. And then another thought was to make vanishing oatmeal raisin cookies, because there are a lot of oats and grain products grown in Illinois, which is the state where Chicago is, and that's where Sarah settled. I can personally recommend this recipe. I took it home and did it with my girls, and they did disappear. They vanished pretty quickly. There is an option of putting raisins in, if you would care to, and you can also vary it by putting in chocolate chips. So we did some of both. We did some with raisins and some with chocolate chips, whatever you prefer. There's also an option on the back of putting it in a bar cookie form. Another activity is Great Minds African American Inventors sheet. And out of all the African American inventors, which are quite a large number, I thought it was super exciting that Sarah E. Goode is included on here. There are only 6 names listed on here. So you have to read the description of the various people, of the various 6, and then answer the questions at the bottom. And then there is a secret code. Find the secret word, fill in the blanks to make complete words, then use the code sentence to find the secret word. So you have to figure out which letters go in those missing blanks and then unscramble them down below to answer the clue. Now, I don't want to tell you what it is because then it wouldn't be secret anymore. But you can learn some other amazing facts, just very, very short facts about these inventors. Will tell you it says about Sarah E. Goode, one of the first African American women to receive a patent. Some places say she's one of the first, and other places say she was the first. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, going back to old records. She invented a cabinet bed. The bed would fold into a desk when not being used to save space. And there's a teeny tiny drawing of what that looked like, which was also kind of cool because only 3 out of the 6 people on here get a picture of some sort, and Sarah got a picture of her invention. And lastly, we have a My Ancestors Did That, African American inventors, and again, we only have a small list here, but Sarah Goode is one of the people on the list. So you can find her name in the puzzle along with some other people. George Washington Carver is on this sheet. His name is on here as well. Let's see if there's other ones that carry over. These are not all inventors. This sheet is all inventors, and these are other famous African American people too. So I don't see any other similar names. So it's cool that Sarah made both lists. So that is our superheroes of STEAM for today. I hope you enjoyed learning about Sweet Dreams Sarah and imagining all the wonderful things you can accomplish if you follow your dreams. Sarah never really had a lot going for her as a slave, but she still made her dreams happen. So see if you can make some of your dreams happen. They don't have to be huge, just little dreams. Trying to get a B in a class instead of a C or something like that. And work for it and make it happen. So this has been Miss Kathy coming at you from Shaler North Hills Library. I hope you join us for our next episode of Superheroes of STEAM. And until then, keep dreaming and keep reading. Remember, you can come into the library and check out a lot of other great books about famous African Americans or maybe people like Sarah E. Goode that were not so famous that you can learn about. We are open for you to come in, or we can still pick out books for you and deliver them to you at the door. However you want to do it. But keep reading. Bye.